record here. There, we're rocking. I love technology. I am such a clown on technology.
Well, when it works for us, it's fantastic.
Because 6 months ago, we couldn't do this. It was so complicated to try to do a book study online, and you had to get videos. Anyway, this is so super duper easy. So welcome.
Perfect.
Glad you're here. And now that we've got this, I'm going to re-record the first 2 webinars that I did that didn't have
a
clean look because you could see my whole screen.
So does it matter that you will or will not have people on?
No, it doesn't.
Does that matter?
The first 2 I re-recorded. The first one because, people got a little personal. Okay. The second one, I messed up the recording. So I'll just redo those. And there's a lot of them where you see audience muted. Well, there's no audience.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
So it's nice that we're going to have some interaction, but I gather that that's done regularly. Yeah. Only I'm not going to fake it and pretend that there's 100 people here.
Okay. Although, I don't know, might not be so bad.
Yeah, well, it won't be long before there is. So this is our 3rd one, and from our agenda we could see in the first webinar we did exercises 1 and 2 about awaken your power and the qualities of powerful women. And if men are watching this, they can have qualities of powerful men also, but right now that's what the book's about, so that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And then last week we did exercises 3 and 4, accessing your power-filled stories, and that lake meditation.
Yeah, that was good. I do like that lake meditation.
I do it quite regularly, and I do it with my granddaughters too, because it's easy, just pieces of it.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's interesting to see their reactions. So tonight we'll see how far we get. I'm prepared to do quite a few exercises. I'm prepared quite far ahead, but we're going to start with taking a look at the last slide that we left with. Then we'll talk about the people you spend the most time with, and we'll certainly get through our Council of Wise Women and possibly your ideal life.
Okay.
So this is what we left off with last week, was the affirmation that I breathe in life, I breathe in love, love is all around me. And I belonged to a circle, a drumming circle a few years ago, and that's where I got this. Somebody was singing it. And then when we all sang it together in a rhyme, is that what you call that? One after the other?
Rhythm, yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. So when you have a little tune in it in your head, it's nice to have that. It's very uplifting.
Peachy. Yeah.
I'd sing about it.
I could see that.
Yeah. Singing's not an option.
Yes, it is.
Unless I'm in a group, then I feel a little more confident doing it. Or if you sing it, then I can follow you and sing it. Like I can hit it right on the notes, but I need to follow somebody. I can't just come it from the top. So exercise number 5 is found in your book on chapter 1 on page 44. And it's that Jim Rohn quote about the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
And we're all familiar with it, but it's really important for us to keep reminding ourselves of this, and maybe it's taking inventory. Because have you noticed as you have grown and evolved, that you've developed new relationships, new people come into your life, and then other people fall out of your life?
Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah. And you'll also find, I've certainly found, and other people I've spoken to, is people that you're with, you're either gaining energy from them or you're losing energy. And sometimes when there was a healthy exchange of energy, that can shift, that can change depending on where you're at and depending on where the other person is at.
Yeah.
We were satisfied when we were raising our kids to go sit in the park with somebody and have a non-conversation, but that doesn't suit us anymore.
Yeah.
So if your friends are making you tired and bringing you down, then you may want to consider making some changes in that area too.
It's like, interesting you say that. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny how suddenly you say, wow, like 3 or 4 friends have abandoned ship, or you're just not seeing them anymore. Sort of wonder, maybe that's part of Facebook just selects for you what friends you're going to have and which ones are done with you if you don't have enough in common. They may have an algorithm for that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
We have that algorithm in our heart and in our energy centers, so we know someone that we're vibing with or not vibing with.
Yeah.
And Jim Rohn said, you know, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You have the average of their income, health, lifestyle, and relationships. So that's really important when we take a look at people around us and see what kind of income they have. And if we're with people that have much less income with us or much more income, what does that do to us and how we feel about ourselves? Does that make us feel the comparison, the judgment, the disparity? And it goes both ways. And it could be the same thing with health. Some people are very uncomfortable being with sick people. I'm okay if you're sick, but I'm not good at having somebody describe all their illness to me.
Oh, yes. Every time there's a phone call or a meeting. Did you know this is what happened to me? Wow. Yep, I did. Because you told me 8 times before.
Exactly. And I'm not comfortable. It was probably because I was exposed to my mother being sick when I was so young. I was only 10.
Okay.
And she was diagnosed with cancer. So that going to the hospital and you could smell the ether, and I probably have a good reason why I have an aversion to sick people, but it's kept me healthy, because that's one of my big motivators to stay healthy is so that I'm not in that situation where I'm discussing all my aches and pains, if I had aches and pains. I had a funny dream the other night. I dreamt that John and I were in a place where there are a lot of like old seniors on walkers, and we were walking through trying to get out of there. And they said, "What do you mean? You mean you don't have any of that? You don't have any cancer? You don't have this? You don't?" And they were listing off all their diseases. And he said, we both went, "No, we don't. We're good. We're healthy. We're fine."
Thank you so much.
I woke up in the morning having a really good chuckle about that. I said, if I'm even dreaming about being healthy, I must be pretty good. And then we love to be with people who have the lifestyle that makes us comfortable, that makes us feel good about ourselves. And the relationships. We've all been to those parties where a couple decides they're going to lace into each other, and it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
So this is the purpose of this exercise is to list some of the people that you're with, and then we're going to list their qualities and values. So who are the 5 people that you spend the most time with? I'd say in the last 3 months, since just before Christmas.
3 months? Okay. That would be Anne Gregory. So we share the WNO, the Women's Network of Ottawa.
Yeah.
My friend from BC, which is great. Tracy, she was part of my mastermind. I spoke to her about her today. Yeah. And so she amazes me. And she made a comment, you know, when I met you, I leaned on you for your strength and your confidence and your courage. And I was shocked when she said that. And she said, and I needed that to get me where I'm at. So she's built a business. And so from nothing, it went to 50,000 and then 150,000 this year. She plans on doubling it. She said,
nice.
It's all because of you. It's like, no, hun, it's not. It's all because of you. So that's Tracy. I spent a lot of time with my husband. Oh, wow. Friends, you know, I'm spending a lot of time with my brother. Yeah. A lot of time. And he's brilliant. He's always been brilliant. He is a perfectionist, and things have to do right down to his coffee. Let me be shallow for a second. So I'm in Toronto, and let me go get us some coffee and tea for me because I don't do coffee. And The coffee has to be a medium, not a large, not a small. 2 cream, not more than that. And a half a teaspoon of sugar. Brown sugar is preferable. Wow. And if it's not like that, it's a crappy coffee. Okay, that's deep. Thank you. I take my tea, nothing in it anyway. So, and who else? I'm spending some time with one of my lenders who's fantastic. She's been through many different situations. And so we get to sit down and talk about life as we know it. And I learn more about her. I never knew. She's a master Reiki, a Reiki master, I take it back. She's a Reiki master. I had no idea. And we're in the business of money. And she's a Reiki master. I had no idea until she said, I would love to do a retreat with you.
Nice.
Yeah. So did I get to 5? I think I got to 5.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's really interesting and how that changes and how different circumstances put you with your brother that you wouldn't have known and gotten to know him as well. So it's been really one of the upsides of doing that. So what qualities and values do they have that you would like to emulate?
Yeah. So my brother makes me think, and he's very no holds bar. You know, if that's what you're intending to do with the rest of your life, I think you better step up the game. And he suggested I go back to Toronto. And then he said, you know what, you're not moving fast enough, so don't move back to Toronto. Like, that's my brother. You're not moving fast enough. Thank you. Thank you. He is very no limits, absolutely none. If there's a program that needs to be created, then he creates it and then he teaches it. He's got 10,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Oh my.
Yeah. He's amazing. And I love the way he just goes after it. He has these 2 incredible projects with Aboriginal youth. So he was in, oh my gosh, Kitchener, teaching. And he did so well, they said, you know what, he was referred to another project and they said, do you mind coming to Iqaluit to teach that? So he's going to Iqaluit in July.
That's a good time of year. That's better than this time of year.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm so proud. And then there is my girlfriend who decided to just make her business work. So she used the principles of the mastermind to go out and get the people who could help her get where she needed to. She wasn't afraid to ask. Mm-hmm. So she found funding. So she did her application, got funding, got mentors, and she didn't stop. Then she brought in people because now she's doing succession planning. No one does succession planning when they're early in the game in the business,
Sure. But
she's quite brilliant and decided, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing because I have other things to do. She's got a number of projects, and I love the way she works. Just go after it. Ask. Their money's your money. Who else? Oh my gosh, I said them all.
Now, the 2 of them, like your brother and this friend, seem to have very much in common that they go get it. They don't hesitate. They move fast.
They do. Because her comment is, you know, it's my comment is, when is too late? Too late. Yeah. So just do it. And she said, I've heard that from you over and over again, and that's where I'm at. How sweet.
And have you applied that in your own life?
Well, see, that's different. I can teach it. I think I just answered that question. Yeah, it's amazing what they've done. Who else? So, my hubby, who would rather have me be his executive assistant because that would be helpful for him. Good for him. So I spent a lot of time with him suggesting, you know what, you might want to consider this. Consider an agenda for your meeting. Consider placing the time for your people to meet with you instead of playing that game of, well, I'm not sure. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap when you're dealing with your staff. So I suggest put it in writing. Oh, well, why must I do that? Because you have to. So I need to walk the talk. Have I put mine in writing? I do that for my other meetings. I don't do that for me. And the networking is awesome. But getting back to that, I'm watching more people do more networking, but thoughtful networking, not a go out and grab a business card and that's it.
Absolutely. I think it's shifted in the last 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's much more heart-centered. It's much more connected.
Yep.
And I had an idea today because I was at my Tuesday morning networking meeting. And we all introduce ourselves by our first name or our whole name. And then we spiel what we do. Yep. And then I get so mesmerized listening to what they do that I forget their name. So I thought, and I introduced this, so I think we're going to start practicing this in our circle, is, hi, I'm Linda Babulik, and I, blah, 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 all my stuff, Linda Babulik, pleased to meet you. Or just something like Linda Babulik. Just end it with my name.
Exactly.
Because when I'm introducing speakers, I would say, and next on the stage is Jacqueline, and she's blah, 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 and this is going to be the title. Yes. And then I would always say, here she is, and your name was the last thing they heard. Yeah. So I think that at networking events, let's try that. And we're going to float that balloon and see how it goes. And I think people will appreciate it and they'll remember your name more. And that's a gift though. So if I'm hearing my name and you're saying it out loud to a group of people, no matter how small, it could be 1, it could be 200, but that says a lot to me that you cared enough to say that. Yes. And to honor my name. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because then you'll remember it. Yeah. I remember I had a boss that said that's the only thing you get. You get it sometimes before you're born, and you have it long after you're dead. Like we remember people whose names they were walking the planet 2,000 years ago. Yep. So he was always really careful about making sure that we had people's names right. So what qualities and values would you like to develop and emulate? The go get it. And it's reactivating the go get it. And between us, so the two that I just talked about have been through the dip, like serious dips. And I've been there, I've seen it, I've been with them through their serious dips. And so they found a way to come back up. So I need to find that way to come back up, because when I hit a dip, unlike them, I don't go out and say, hey, I could use some help. I just sit and think, maybe I could do this myself and wallow in my paper. So I would like to do more of the, hey, I could use some help. Yeah. I would like to, Tracy is, both of them are incredibly organized. They know exactly where their items are. So I have a cell phone. And I can't tell you how many times I have misplaced my cell phone. Now, I haven't lost it, but I've misplaced it. These two have small units and large units that they work with. Tracy works with a saw, an electric, those big saws that chop down trees. A chainsaw. So, yeah, chainsaw. So she works with that. And she's got 2 cell phones, and she's got all of these gadgets, and she knows exactly where they are.
they're in her pickup truck. My brother is Mr. Techno. So he's got his, you name it, he's got it, but he knows exactly where they are.
Yeah.
So that is what I would like to have in place, to know exactly where all this stuff is. I know where my tax stuff is.
Down to being able to focus on what's going on.
Yeah.
And as we take more stress out of our lives, then we can make room for all of those things.
Yeah.
But when you just think about how many PIN numbers we have to remember, I mean, we used to just have to remember our address and our phone number. And now we have just a ton of password, pins, everything else. So the hard drive is getting a lot more stuff in it.
Yeah.
We need to be selective about what we take out, and whether that's, people or qualities and we're going to talk a little bit more about that, or values that need to be changed. We need to change it up and move it up because the world needs you. The world is far from done with you.
Yeah. Interesting. So when you talk about people, so you grow into people and you grow out of people. And I have a friend who I'm busy growing out of.
Yeah.
And it's tough because you sit there listening to things that you'd rather not know, things you'd like to help with, but it's clear that it can't. It's not a part of my plan to be able to help her.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was preparing tonight, was that circle of concern and the circle of influence. You're concerned, but you can't influence it.
Yeah. That's tough. Mm-hmm. It really is.
That's the trickiest part, is when you're concerned because you feel helpless. But sometimes you just have to stand back with it.
Yeah.
So this is the affirmation that goes with that exercise. So we're complete. We know the 5 people we want to be with. And if there's a quality that you want, just going back a step, if you see someone that has a certain quality and you want that quality, friend them. Try to step up to them and, go for coffee, get to meet them a little bit and say, and I found that that's really been helpful to me. Yeah. And that's why people will laugh. They'll go, "You two are friends, but you're so quiet and Linda's so not." She goes, "Yeah, we're best friends." I go, "Yeah," because I want that calmer energy.
Yeah.
Good.
It's yin and yang, right?
It is, totally.
Yeah.
Probably why John and I have been together for so long. Although he's been known to get going. He can get cranked up too.
But I saw him on stage and he can get cranked up and it's quite funny. And so that's so appreciative of how I see how you guys just enjoy yourselves.
Yeah. Life's too short not to.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, we're not going to be around for another 50 years, so we got to do what we can now. When we were married for 20 years, we renewed the contract for another 20. And when we hit the 40 mark, we went, we can't renew. We can't double it again. We can renew for maybe another 20, but I don't know. We're not going to double it. We're not going to end up married for 80 years. That's not going to happen. We weren't married that young. So this is the affirmation. Yeah. So I am a powerful woman and I embody. So 3 of our qualities are 3 qualities that we want to have. And it's a fun exercise to do with women if we say it to each other. Like you heard your friend tell you that you were filled with confidence, but you don't see yourself as I see you. So I would say Jacqueline is a powerful woman and she embodies confidence. Like when you walk into a room, you own it. That's what I see. And so many people, you look around the room, and I mean, there's not a room you can go into around here that you don't know somebody or somebody knows you, and everybody waves and says hello. And there's a confidence about it, though. There's a caring about you. That's, it's a deep kind of caring. And there's an empathy there, a heart-to-heart trust factor that you can build very quickly. Those are the qualities I see in you. Can I have some of those?
You have more than that. You're joking me. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If we, we need the reflection from others, not to be pulled into the negative, but certainly sometimes we also need it to see our beauty and the qualities of what that looks like.
Yeah.
So this was one of my favorite parts to write in the book. It's the Council of Wise Women. So it's to create a council of wise women and they can be real or imaginary, of 8 women or men. Mine's all women. I just feel more comfortable with that, and that's how I wrote the book.
Yeah.
Who have 8 qualities that you would like to have or expand upon. And you don't need to know them personally. They can be women from anywhere and any time. And I chose the number 8 because 8's the number of pattern, infinity.
I was going to say that's a number we use in yoga, and our mystics use it's infinite. I love it. Yeah. And that's why we do 108 salutations.
That's why I have it in that heart pendant that I wear all the time. Yeah. There's 108 Herkimer diamonds in it.
Nice. Can I get one?
They're tiny.
Is this taped?
Tiny little diamonds, but they're in there. Yeah, and that's why. There's 108 in there. And that's why I chose this number. So you choose 8 women. And what's nice about this in the story, I don't know if you recall in the book, is you can also gather together a physical council. There was a person that I was working with, and she was in between and said, I don't know, I've got this opportunity to buy the first franchise ever of this magazine, and I don't know what I should do. Well, I knew what I thought she should do, but I didn't want to just push my opinion. I gave her all the pros and cons as I saw it, but she was still not convinced. So I said, call your council. Make a council of your friends that you respect and that you would respect their opinion. And instead of meeting with each one of us, call us all for dinner and we'll all get together. We'll go for dinner. You'll do your presentation. Tell us what your issue is. And we'll go around the table. We'll tell you what we think. And then you can make your decision based on what everybody else's input. Right. So that's what I guess that was like a Thursday. And then I checked in with her on Sunday and I said, well, I didn't get your call. Have you called them? Oh, no, I haven't gotten around to doing it. I don't know if I should. I said, just do it. She said, well, there's not much time. So she called on Sunday or Monday. She called the meeting and she filled the private room in the restaurant on Tuesday or Wednesday night.
Okay.
Everybody came and she told them about this opportunity with the magazine, and everybody was familiar with the founder of the magazine, familiar with the magazine. And she gave her whole pros and cons and why she wanted to do it and all of that. And then when she went around the room, people told her what they thought. And what it came down to is owning a magazine is about selling advertising.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not the fun part of interviewing people and going on trips so you could write a travel article. Yeah. It's, for the most part, when you're a one-man band, it's selling advertising. And everybody pretty much had the same idea that would not be a good investment of her time or money. Plus, she had teenagers, I think, or younger, preteens that needed her attention. So she decided not to buy the magazine franchise, and she was so grateful. But gathering a group like that together, it works magic. So whenever you're faced with a decision, it's also an easy way to ask for help, miss.
Oh.
So if you don't want to
just throwing that out there.
If you don't want to just ask one person for help and you don't know your resources, much like when you were managing the chamber. You pulled people together, and then when you're all together, you could see who has what resources to contribute to what it is you're trying to achieve.
They were a great group.
Yeah.
I love that. Love that.
So gather your 8 together. They could be here now or not here now, and for different qualities. You know, I think of Princess Diana. She got so much done, and yet she had such a quiet, innocent energy about her.
We were just talking about her last night, because I think we were celebrating her anniversary where she passed away. No, let's see. It was in the summertime she passed, but we were talking about what sort of woman she was like. Yeah. And thinking about her sons and how her sons must be wanting to do and be exactly how she'd hoped they would be and do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was yesterday. We were having a conversation about Lady Di.
Yeah. And she's just so good to have on your council because she had great qualities. She's very determined.
Yeah.
And she didn't let it stop her. She pushed ahead with her projects and she got them done. And she made a difference. And we all have a little bit of everybody in us, but if we could pull up a little bit more of that, you know, I would want to expand that in me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she made a decision that didn't make her the most popular, but she knew the life that she was living was not honoring her. Yeah. And she had the stone, she had the courage to say, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, she had the courage to say no.
Yeah.
It's got to stop.
Yeah.
So this is it's a wonderful exercise. And sometimes, you know, if you can't sleep, you can even do it mentally and call your counsel and, you know, keep their list on the night table or in your night table. And then before you go to bed, if something's bothering you, just name them all off in your head and then go to sleep and just conjure them up and ask them whatever question it is you want to ask. And you can meet with them one at a time, or you can meet with them in a group and be in the middle of the group like you're on the hot seat.
Yeah.
That's sort of fun to bring everybody together.
No, appreciate it. I'd have my crayons out and I would have them all. Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah. Maybe we don't create enough of those physical circles of just gathering together to help each other. And it needs to be facilitated in a way that, and I've seen this through facilitating the ZEST Wisdom Circle, is that we don't want it to turn into group therapy, because that's not what it's about. It's always about moving us ahead from where we are to where somebody else in the circle is further along than we are on one of those items. That's good fun. And so when we have our council, this is the affirmation we have. My life and my relationships are enriching, stimulating, and fun. And that's who we want in our circle. That's who we want as the 5 people that we spend the most time with, is to be enriching and stimulating. And the next piece is about honoring and respecting ourselves as brave, courageous, and powerful women with zest. This question has come up again and again. Who has your power? And I didn't realize how much this whole first section of the book, it's Awaken the Women Within, is the name of that whole section, but I didn't realize until I'm doing this yet again, the book study, how much power was in there, because that's what you're awakening. And when nobody can take your power away, you can give it away. And Princess Diana just said, oops, I gave it away. I'm taking it back. Yeah. The answer is no, you can't have it anymore. And I'm taking it back and it's mine.
Yeah. It's interesting to get to a place where that's a decision that you make. So it's not, the instinct isn't that you've given it away. The instinct is that someone has taken it from you. And to get to that place where you've recognized that, wow, it was all about you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I tell the story briefly in my book about a woman who was on sick leave, and there were only her and she was the administrator of the office, office manager, I think. And then there was a male boss, and then there was her female secretary and another female assistant. And she was off, the manager was off on sick leave for 6 or 7 months and had trained the other gal to do the job. And when she came back, she said, I can't believe what's happening. I go in, I have a talk with the boss, we decide what needs to be done, and I get in the next morning and my secretary says, no, I'm not doing that. I talked to the boss and he said I don't have to do it. And which told me a little bit more about the story. I said, wait a minute. I said, you gave her your power. You gave her your job, but she's now got your power also. You need to take your power back.
Yeah.
Put your foot down. Well, when she did that, she discovered what had happened while she was away was the married boss and the married secretary were having an affair.
Yeah.
So when she put her foot down and said, this will not be tolerated, she said, you either work here and you get the work done, but whatever you're doing in your time with him, you're still doing your work done. But she stood in her power, and in a matter of weeks, it turned around. Yeah. Yeah. And then the relationship.
That was a good story.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm reading it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sure that's happened in my world. So I'm like, yeah.
And we do it. We don't even notice. And the minute I said to her, you gave your power away, she was just, I could have slapped her across the face.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, that's right. And I had this conversation with a client a few weeks ago. And I said, who has your power? This is part of my intake interview.
Oh,
because,
really?
I only work with clients I really like.
Yeah.
So I have a 3-page intake. And when I get to the end, by then they're good and warmed up, I go, who has your power? And they're like, oh, yes, somebody does. I gave it away to them. And they're shocked by what they've done.
Yeah.
And then they can take it back and they can stand in their own power. But you can do it so easily because we want to please. We don't want to insult anybody. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Yeah. So it's really, this question keeps coming up, and we need to keep reminding ourselves that we have our power. The other situation that arises often is maybe as your friend is complaining, she wants you to fix her problems. So she wants to hand you her power. She's going, here, take care of this for me. I've got this problem and that problem. You go, oh, it's okay. I can take care of that for you. I can take care of that for you. And I won't accept anybody else's power. So we need to be conscious of not giving ours away, but also not accepting anybody else's when they try to give it to us.
Interesting. I'm not sure I've had too many people say, you know what, I'm going to hand over my power to you. Although as soon as I say that, Linda, I take that back. I have experienced that.
Yes, because they don't say it that way.
Oh.
But all of a sudden you feel responsible to do things and help them. And it really comes down to they're passing their power over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't recognize it. It could be very subtle. Now you'll recognize it next time somebody tries to do that. But you're so good at this. Especially spouses who want us to be their executive secretaries.
Yes. Yeah.
But you're so good at this. You're so organized.
It'll be quick for you.
Yeah, it'll be quick for you.
Yeah.
Could you make me an appointment? No.
Can you make me a coffee while you do that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the whole power thing just keeps coming up again and again until we're going to get that really anchored into us.
Yeah.
Because you can't have zest if you don't have your power. It's not zest to be giving away your power and to be powerless.
Right.
And if you want to have your ideal life, you must have your power. So I loved this exercise too, because we need to stop and really start right now imagining what that ideal life would be. Like if you could magically have everything you want, what would your ideal life look like?
Oh, it'd be sexy.
Because just like the people that you spend the most time with, your ideals have the same, I think, a big impact on your income, your health, your lifestyle, and your relationships. So it's who you're with, but who your ideals are too. Your ideal life is like.
Yeah.
And what are you doing in your ideal life?
In my ideal life, I am teaching, I am mentoring, I am traveling, I'm creating, I'm hanging out with my little girl and my grandson.
So you're doing some of your ideal life now.
Yeah.
You're doing some of it, but you're not doing as much of it as you would like, it sounds like.
Yeah. I want my,
So on a percentage, are you doing 10%?
I think, as I'm looking, I'm probably doing, well, maybe about 30%. And then the question is, what's the other 70%?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a big percentage.
Yeah, that's the part where your brother would give you a butt kick.
Yeah, pretty much. Because you can't go to Toronto because you're not moving fast enough. Yeah, okay.
It's so good when somebody insults us and we know they're right.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, that was really insulting and rude, but thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Feel free not to ever say that one again.
Yeah. So if you're going faster here, just imagine how quickly you'll get to that 100% filled up in all of those silos that you're talking about for your ideal life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something we need to, because it ebbs and flows, eh? They all go up and down like little chimneys. What have you dreamed of doing that you haven't done?
I want to teach yoga for your personal finances in Croatia.
Oh, why Croatia?
Years ago, I had read, it was in the newspaper, at a time where I got my magazines and my newspapers and you name it, it came to my door. But I was reading about this beautiful country that was war-torn. And I thought, how could this possibly happen to such a beautiful country? And then, so I'm working at the YMCA teaching, and I met this guy who asked me to do some work for him as a mortgage consultant. And then he says, you know what? I'm from Croatia. I said, I've wanted to go. He said, when you want to go, let me know and I'll make sure you're taken care of. And then, I swear it was a week later, I met someone else, a woman who was from Croatia. If you ever want it, I just thought, okay, it's coming. I'm supposed to go to Croatia. I understand the wine isn't that great, but that's okay because I just be teaching yoga and money.
It's not expensive because it's a lot like Slovakia. It's beautiful and the price is right. And there is some very good wine, Frankova.
Okay.
Is it's good, very good. Yeah, you just have to get the right one. Frankovka, I think it's called. Yeah, I think I had too much of it. I don't remember. And you can't get it here. You can't get the good stuff here. Although I did manage to get a bottle when the Slovak ambassador, when they had this big Slovak day. And he gets it for the embassy. So I managed to get a bottle from the vineyard. Yeah, so
there is good wine. And so you asked me what I'd like to do. That's been on my list for a while. Okay. In addition to walking the Camino. So.
Oh, walking the Camino's on my list, but you need feet and knees to do that, eh?
Indeed. and it will happen.
Okay.
Someone said, there's another place you could go. It's called your family farm. I said, no, I think I'll walk. And I did, initially for me, I planned it. It's 42 days. And I split it up into 12 days, and then the rest of the time for me to get to Fatima. And I thought after 12 days, if I have to come back, then I have to come back. After 12 days, if I have to take a break, I have time between the next 12 to take a break. So I've planned it so that should my feet and knees decide they love me a lot, but not so much, I can take that break.
When I went to Peru, I started training in April and I went in November.
Yeah.
And I trained hard. Like we had an enormous hill near our house, and I would put a pack on my back and I would climb up and down that hill, up and down the hill. I had a personal trainer. I did weights. I did all kinds of stuff to get into shape to be able to do it. And there were a lot of people arrived. They were not in shape. They couldn't even do the first step onto the trail because we took the long way to the Inca Trail.
Okay.
So we already hiked for several days before we got on the official trail. But I'm prepared to do that. I'm prepared to work out and get to the Camino.
Yeah. So
I just didn't know who I was going to do it with.
Who?
I think we just said we're doing this together.
Oh, I think we just did. So October apparently is a good time to go. September, October. So it gives me 6 months to get back on track.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited. The awakenings that I understand can happen.
Yeah. Well, certainly my trip to Peru was a spiritual enlightenment for me.
Yeah.
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 When she said, you're going to have impact. And I went, oh, wow, she thinks I'm going to have impact. Yeah, and then you just got to decide what kind of impact you're going to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when I decided what kind of impact I wanted to have. So in your ideal life, where are you living? Are you living in the city, in the country? Do you have a home in both?
I have a home in the city, and I've decided, and I wrote it down, that I want a retreat. And I thought that a retreat in Spain would be fantastic because I love the language, and that's always been a want for me, is to have a beautiful little retreat so that I could do my workshops in Spain. I see lots of people heading out to other destinations. A retreat in Spain would be just perfect.
Mine's in the south of France.
Oh, is it? So that's real close.
Yeah.
That's real close. So it's, beautiful waterfront. Just, wow.
Yeah. Have you spent much time in Europe?
Long time ago, a month in Spain. I was never coming back to Canada. Didn't make any sense to come back to Canada when you could have Spain.
Yeah.
Then I kicked over I spent 2 weeks in Portugal. I think that's it. I think that's it for Europe.
Yeah, I love it. I just love it. We took the whole family.
Oh, really?
5 years ago this summer.
Aw, okay.
We took them on a major pilgrimage for 3 weeks. Yeah, we took the kids, and our son met us. He couldn't bring his kids, but he met us for a week. And
where'd you go?
We met Christy and her family in Frankfurt.
Okay.
And then we flew to Prague, and we had a beautiful apartment in Prague. We were there for about 3 days. And then from Prague, we took the train to Bratislava.
Okay.
And we got to have lunch in the parliamentary restaurant, looking at the Bratislava castle. For political freaks like Max and I, we were like out of our minds excited. and right on the river. I mean, it was just so stunning, stunning, gorgeous. And from Bratislava, we took the train east all the way to Košice, which is the far east where all the gypsies are.
Oh.
And that's where their version of Robin Hood, Janošek, they have big Janošek days up in the mountains. It was 42 stinking degrees. It was hot.
That's beautiful.
It was wonderful. It was so gorgeous. And the music and the costumes were just fantastic. And from there, we rented a place in Košice. Košice is the home of Andy Warhol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then we went into the ice cave. The biggest ice caves in Slovakia are there. And then we rented a car and we drove to the top, to the Tetra Mountains.
Okay.
And we were very close to the Polish border, and we rented a house, a country house. And the Tetra Mountains, actually, you could ski down, you go up the lift on one side and down the other, you're in Poland. So you're that close. And
beautiful.
So we did Preblina, and then from there we came down and went to, saw where John's father was from, where his mother was from, and then we went to Vienna for a few nights.
Oh, darn it.
And then we went home.
Interesting. I have an invite to Prague. A gentleman I had dated, and we almost got married. He said, will you move to Ireland with your daughter? I would be happy if you would. I thought, how interesting. And so I thought about that one. And then, so he was in the Peace Corps, and he sent me 2 postcards from Prague. He said, you have to come and visit.
It's stunning.
Well, my girlfriend's in Prague, and she said, come, I'll pay for you. I said, I don't know if I have time. And then I thought, how ridiculous. You have to go. You got that postcard. I still have it.
Yeah, make the time.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a wonderful city. Yeah. Now, we had really hot temperatures. It hadn't rained in 6 weeks, except for the one night we were in Vienna, and everybody had been complaining about no rain, no rain. And we decided to stay in the hotel to have dinner because we stayed at a very, very nice hotel.
Okay.
And I just said to Christy, are we just going to go completely crazy on the budget? What the hell? She said, yeah, let's take it over the top, Mom.
Yes,
yes. So we did. And that was the night we decided to eat in the hotel.
Yeah.
And that's the night it poured rain. Which was great because we didn't get stranded.
Yeah.
So to finish this exercise, in your ideal life, who are the people in your ideal life? Because we talked about the 5 people you're the most with.
Yeah.
So who are those people? And who are the 5 people you spend the most time with in your ideal life?
Wow. So they don't have names, but they're people who explore like I like to explore. Yeah. People who are okay not to have a map, but to get in the car. Yeah. They're people who are okay with silence. Yeah. People who are interested in knowing about people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jared is interviewing me on ESAX for his podcast. And that was one of the things that he said, so what has ESAX done for you and networking done for you? And that's exactly what I said, was the way it's set up, it gives you a chance to get to know people and ask them about their life, who they are, what got them there, where did they move from, where are they from, where do they live, all of those things. You can get to really know somebody, in a half an hour conversation talking to somebody.
If you care to listen, and if you care to ask, you can learn so much.
Yeah. So in your ideal life, how do those people support you in your wholeness?
Here's hoping that they would ask questions. So the way I ask questions when I see wonderful things happen and not so wonderful things happen, having the, not even just the courtesy, but with gratitude. Let me ask you these questions. Just like my brother said, you know, you're not running fast enough. With gratitude, he said that, not his ego.
Yeah.
Maybe the people around me say it a little nicer. Same thing, but a little easier to swallow. Where was I?
So that's how they support you with your wholeness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A walk out by the water, and oh my gosh, I had a beautiful walk with a friend of mine in the Gatineau Park. And she took me by the waterfall, and I walked, I kicked, so it's winter, but I kicked my boots off, kicked my socks off, and stuck my feet in the water because I just thought it is too beautiful. And the sound and what a perfect place to do a meditation. And she was fantastic. She just stood and did her thing, and we watched the snowfall. It was stunning. I like crazy stuff like that because I don't think it's that crazy.
That's the biggest thing I miss about not living in my forest. Because even if it was 30 below, 35 below, didn't matter. I would get dressed and I go out in the forest. Yeah. And I just sit by the stream and my lean against my favorite tree.
Yeah.
Well, I can go back there. I just close my eyes and I'm there. I'm there now. Yeah, all of the stones that I have, I washed in that stream.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap up on this affirmation.
I pay attention to what is said and how it is said.
Yeah. I think that's a nice wrap up for tonight. Yeah, because we're paying attention to what we're saying and reading between the lines.
Yeah.
It was great.
Well, this was a beautiful episode.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate you being on. And I think people will enjoy our conversation as part of it. I think it'll be nice to change it up a little bit.
Okay.
All right. I need to find the way. There's a way here. Whoops. That's not the way, Linda. That's not the way. Ah, there we go. That's how you stop the recording.